Hey, what's up, fight fans? Will back once again for another fight card prediction. We're going to be breaking down UFC on Fox 30, or UFC Calgary, as it comes from the Scotiabank Saddle Dome from Calgary, Alberta, Canada, as our UFC are making return after a pretty substantial absence from Calgary, where they had an absolute bad card like years ago, and they promised they'd come back with a good card, and they have with this one here. Overall, I love the card. It's a really good card. There's a lot of good fights on there, and people I'm looking forward to seeing. Coming off UFC Hamburg, where I went 9-4 for my picks, and some nice underdog plays on there. I bet a couple of nice underdogs that came through. A little bit annoyed I didn't take Fabinski because I saw that fight going down. I still went with Meek. That was a bit of a piss take that I took Meek there. Yeah, so a decent card there. A bit kind of slow in the middle with the 9 decisions, and a bit of a heartbreaker to see Shogun go down like that. I should have seen that coming, but it's what it is. Moving on to this one, like I say, we're really killing it with subscribers, guys. I really appreciate it. We're like 2,050. I've totally blew that 2,000 out the water, and I'm going to be moving on and setting other goals. And I just really appreciate it. Every week, there's great people leaving comments down below. Go and interact. We're here to talk about fights. You're here to talk about my picks. If you disagree with them, whether you agree with them, your bets and so on. It's like I'm not a guy that puts out my bets out there. I kind of keep that to myself. I'm not selling picks. I might have something coming that way where I might be promoting a guy who sells picks, who's very, very good. So keep an eye out for that, because I get email after email from people regarding bets and so on. And like I say, I'll tell you where to go, but I'm not a betting kind of guy. So let's get more subscribers. Let's push. Let's see how far I can really take this channel, because it's becoming far bigger than I ever imagined it to be. More people, I think UFC Pick'em's going to miss soon. I've moved over to the MMA Playground over there. It's a little bit different. I'm still getting to grips with it over there, but I've started off fairly well. But like I say, I'm still getting my feet under the table there and checking out where I'm going. Big shout out to Mulatto, Aussie MMA, who's killing it with the picks this year. A guy who's regularly commenting my videos and has had some really nice words to say about myself. So I really appreciate that. You're a good guy, and let's hopefully I can kind of get to know what I'm doing on there and can help you guys out. Just another big shout out. A good man from North Carolina called Gene sent this over my way. From just like I say, over in America, a little bit wet. I got caught out in the rain that we've got here in Scotland at the minute, but I really appreciate that. He sent me out a shirt over here. So Gene, thank you very much. I appreciate that. And yeah, so we're going to move into this card here. Like I say, I've got one bet down already. The lines came out a little bit earlier on. I've not had a really good close look at them. I kind of know what's going on with them. But yeah, we're going to start off in the lightweight division with a fight. I'll be honest, guys. I watched one fight of these guys probably when the fight was announced, and I couldn't go back. I just could not go back and watch more fights on it. So I'm going with the guy I think is more durable, and I think that is Devin Powell. I think Herrera is the guy with the more power. Well, I think that Powell, really nothing stands out. The guy's tough, he's durable, he sticks around. Where I can see Herrera fading off a little bit. The big thing with this was that Devin Powell is coming back after a nasty injury. I think Joe Lozon exploded one of his testicles while they were training, and he was in hospital laid up with that for a long time. Obviously had to have surgery and get things taken care of. And yeah, a serious injury. Not saying that Herrera should be dirty, but if you were to target somewhere like that, maybe with a kick high up in the leg, maybe when they hit the balls, that could seriously put a span on the works for Devin Powell and could work to your advantage. Not saying being dirty and going doing that, because you hope fighters don't do that. They kind of fight like the true mixed martial arts that they are. But hey, it's a way to maybe get an advantage in the fight. Like I say, Devin Powell's been in the UFC, not looked great. I think his opponents have been fairly decent. Horcher doesn't really stand out in much either, but he's tough, and he's been around for a long time. Drakkar Klose, he's got that wrestling, he's got that pressure, and he pretty much just kept him against the cage and got takedowns against him. Alvaro Herrera is another guy who's been in, fought a couple of times in the UFC. Jordan Rinaldi tapped him out. Like I say, I think his main path to victory in this one here is, I think he's got more power. I think he's got a little bit more speed, but I do think he can gas out a little bit early on. Like, he's lost to Rinaldi and Vicente Luque via sub as well. Beat Vernon Ramos on the tough finale, I think it was. I can't remember. That'd be a couple of years ago now, 3-4 years ago. Knocked him out in the first round. Honestly, I don't want to spend too much more time talking about this fight. I'm going to pick Devin Powell via decision. I just think that he's a more durable fighter. Where I think once Herrera starts to slow down, if he doesn't hit him with a big shot, then I truly believe that he will win the fight. But like I say, I'm not confident, and I'm not going to say that I'm confident in either guy there. So, yeah. Women's strawweight division, Randa Markos against Nina Ansaroff. I think it's a good matchup, a really good matchup. I like what I'm seeing out of Nina Ansaroff in the last few fights, and Randa Markos is always a girl who is very tough, but it's also a girl who's very tough that is, she kind of trades wins and losses. She's had, I think she's had scorecards go for her. I think she's had scorecards go against her personally. I think ever since she's been in the UFC, she's traded wins and losses. I thought she kind of got done dirty a little bit by Alexa Grasso in Mexico. Kind of thought that she lost to Carla Esparza when she was in her hometown, home country of Canada. I've been a fan of Markos. I wouldn't say I'm a big fan. I think she's got some really good tendencies in fights to. She's got some good aspects to a game that she can use. I just don't think she's got the fight IQ to really use them. I think she's a decent grappler. I think she's an aggressive grappler, and she can get it down there. But for me, she doesn't really do that all too much. I think she's very hittable, and that is something I think Nina Ansaroff will kind of take into an aspect here and go for that. I was really impressed by Nina Ansaroff against Angela Hill, because I thought, looking at that fight beforehand, I thought Angela Hill was the clear better striker, where I thought Ansaroff would take her down and potentially keep her there for a little bit. But it was Nina Ansaroff who totally outstruck Angela Hill and went on there to get a fairly, a nice victory. I think that the confidence of her partner, Amanda Nunes, is rubbing off on her and just making her a better fighter. She's on a 2-fight win streak in the UFC. Angela Hill, like I said, and Jocelyn Jones-Lybarger, where she won via submission. How I see this fight going, I think on the feet, I like Ansaroff's technique a little bit more. I think that Markos doesn't move her head off the center line, so she's there to get hit a lot. I think if I'm Markos, I try and maybe work like a spoiler style, maybe put her against the cage and try and look for takedowns. I can see Ansaroff maybe getting some underhooks and kind of turning her around. I can see this being a very close, scrappy fight, but I think I'm going to go with Nina Ansaroff. I feel more confident picking her in this fight here. I think it's very close. Another one I'm not overly confident with. I don't know what the betting lines is. I should actually probably get them up and just have a little look. But like I say, I don't really go on betting lines, so I'll maybe just keep them off. I'm going to pick Nina Ansaroff to win via decision, but being a close one. I know people I've had some crap from people in the past tell me, they're in the home countries, da-da-da-da-da. Doesn't really work like that. Nick Hein, I thought Damir Hadzovic, for me, it was 30-27. He nearly won that fight with the judges. You just can never trust the judges. But for me, I'm going to pick Nina Ansaroff via decision. Next up, flyweight division. This is the fight I am really looking forward to. I'm a big fan of actually both these guys. I like both their styles that they bring to the octagon. So we have Dustin Ortiz facing off against Matheus Nicolau. So we'll start off with Dustin Ortiz. I've been a fan of this guy since he was way back when he was at Rufus Sport. He was one of the guys that I knew was coming up through there. I knew he was a tough, gritty guy, a lot of pace to him, keeps a good pace, I should say, and just a tough fighter to look good against. But I think a fighter who is very beatable with certain skill sets. He's won pretty much as many fights in the UFC as he's lost as well. I think the people that he's lost to are decent guys. I mean, Benavidez, Jose Formiga, Wilson Hayes, I want to say. Who was his last loss? Brandon Moreno, he got that... He started off that fight really well, got caught with a head kick and then got submitted. But in his last 2 fights, he came out there and chin checked Hector Sandoval, put him down within the first 15 seconds of the fight. And then for me, I think one of his best wins was against Alexandre Pantoja. I'm a fan of Pantoja. I think he's a really good mixed martial artist. And Dustin Ortiz put on that grimy style, got his arms around him, took him to the ground, kept doing it, just held him down there. And he's a fighter that can do that to a lot of fighters in this division. Like I say, I'm a fan of Dustin Ortiz. I like his attitude of never really kind of giving in and ready to go hard for 15 minutes. I don't think he's the most talented fighter we'll ever see in that division, but he's one of the most hardest working guys, I truly believe. Moving on to Matheus Nicolau, I am a big admirer of this kid. I think he's got a lot to offer the top of this division. I think he can beat a lot of the top guys in that division, and people really don't know all too much about him because he really only fights once a year. He had that, I think he had a ban with USADA regarding something. Beat Bruno Correa via a submission in his first fight, beat John Moraga in his second fight, and then beat Lewis Smoker fairly convincingly, I thought, in his last fight back in December at UFC 219. I think he's got really good technical hands. I think he's got the jiu-jitsu to follow it up. I think he's got a lot of speed. I think he's got really good footwork. I think he's got really good combinations when he decides. I just think he's overall a really smart mixed martial artist. And when I look at fighters coming through, these are the type of fighters I like that are so well-rounded. He's got a good takedown defense. He's got a lot of cage control as well. He can use that to his advantage. I just think that he's got a good matchup. I think this is actually going to be the fight where people start to recognize how good this kid is, honestly. I think that he's going to use Dustin Ortiz's aggressiveness to his advantage, and I think he's going to get... I think there's going to be a time when this fight hits the mat, and I think this is where his jiu-jitsu skills will come in. If you go onto YouTube, you will see him in jiu-jitsu matches where he's got really solid jiu-jitsu off his back. He's got really good top control, looks for a lot of submissions on there. You will find him on YouTube if you go and have a look. But he's just a solid all-around mixed martial artist. I think he's one of the big guys coming through this division that can challenge Demetrius Johnson in the next couple of years, depending if he gets the right matchups. But for me, I think he outboxes Dustin Ortiz. A little bit worried that Ortiz might just get an opportunity to maybe get him down and kind of lay on him a little bit, but I see him sweeping Dustin Ortiz. I think Ortiz does make a couple of mistakes down there where he will capitalize on that. And for me, I think he's going to stop Dustin Ortiz here. I've got a funny feeling he's going to catch him in a submission. I think he's going to, once he takes the back, I think he's going to find a way to submit him. So I'm going to go Matheus Nicolau via submission. Late 2, early round number 3. That's kind of where I'm looking at in that one there. I think he will be a pretty popular guy across some betting aspects and maybe others over there in the US. I think there'll be a load of people. I'm sure there'll be a lot of people over here on him as well. I like him quite a bit, but I don't know what his number is. Women's flyweight division, Alexis Davis against Katlyn Chookagian. Struggling with this one a little bit. I'm going to go with Katlyn Chookagian in the match. I think she's going to, like she always does, she kind of hits at distance, grunts, runs off. When she fights, I put the fight on mute or the TV on mute, I should say, because I hate that grunting and after every throw just screaming. It puts me off and it annoys me, so I just don't want to listen to that anymore. But I think she's getting a step up here from Liz Carmouche to Alexis Davis, who I don't think there's a big step up, but I think with experience and fighting who she's fought and some of the wins that she's got as well over fairly decent people, I think this is another step up for her. Like I say, with Chookagian, long fights at a distance real well. I think Mark Henry's actually did really well with establishing some of the skills that she has with her striking, her long range striking. I think if you can get your hands on her, you can throw it around like Liz Carmouche did when she lost that fight. But since Alexis Davis has come back after having the kid, she lost to Sarah McMahon where she got caught in a triangle. Beat Cindy Dandois. That's nothing to really write home about. Liz Carmouche, a lot of people gave that for Liz Carmouche. I remember seeing that. I think I just aged Alexis Davis. Off the top of my head, I could be wrong there. beat Sarah Kaufman away back in 2015. So she's overall a very aggressive striker. Another one of these girls that just can take a lot of damage, doesn't move her head. It's there to be hit by the longer striker, I think, in Chookagian. I think she'll use her kicks to try and keep her back. Eventually, I think that Davis is going to move forward and look to try and take her down. I can see her getting takedowns in some aspects of the rounds. But I think that Chookagian has... I think she's just going to do enough fighting at distance to keep Davis away and win rounds through that. But like I say, it's in Canada. These close rounds, they might look at giving it to the hometown girl or whatever. I'm going to go Katlyn Chookagian. I just think that long-range striking, she could pose a little bit of a problem for Davis there, and I think that she'll get the win. It could be a very close decision, a split decision, but I'm going to go, I feel a little bit better. Shall I do it? Yeah, I'm going to go with my first pick was Chookagian. I'm going to stick to that. John Makdessi against Ross Pearson is the main headline fight on UFC Fight Pass here. I'm seeing a lot of people saying that Ross Pearson is done. And to be fair to those people, he has lost a lot of fights, and he's definitely not the... I don't know whether I just don't think his game's overly moved on. I don't think he's moved on as a fighter, and that's the reason why he's losing so much. To be fair to him, he is losing to very serviceable fighters. I mean, Dan Hooker has shown at 155 that he's a beast. Stevie Ray, that fight was very close. That could have really went either way. Jorge Masvidal, I think he moved up to 170 on short notice in that fight there. And his last win coming over Pugnis Mizuta Hirota last time out, where Hirota can sometimes look really good against certain opposition. He just didn't look good against Ross Pearson. He boxed him up pretty well and won earlier on this year at UFC 221. With Ross Pearson, you know what he's going to do. He's a boxer. He comes forward, he slugs. Very rarely you'll see him looking for takedowns. But he's kind of easy to game plan for because you know what he's going to bring. And he's fighting a fellow striker here in John Makdessi, who last time out I read an interview saying, because he left TriStar, he came back for this last fight there against Abel Trujillo and said, I'm never going to leave TriStar. TriStar is my home. Yet he's moved camps again. So he's one of those guys that jumps around different camps, and he's moved to Rufus Sport here, which personally, I think with a head coach like Duke Rufus, I think it's a good move. But I'm not the biggest fan of fighters kind of jumping around to different gyms who are stating that they're going to stay at one gym. Now, I'm all for fighters going to different gyms, maybe learning techniques. But I thought he was a TriStar guy, and he's moved to Rufus Sport. But it's what it is. Like I say, I think it's actually a good move for him because Duke Rufus, coming from the backgrounds that they both have, I think it's going to be good for them both. But yeah, Makdessi's a guy who said he retired, came back. I thought he looked very good against Abel Trujillo last time out. I don't think Trujillo looked his dangerous self as he once did. But before that, he did get knocked out by Lando Venata. So you can get him there. He won a split against Mehdi Baghdad, which was very, very close. I'm nowhere near... Like, there is people out there ready to lay down some serious money on John Makdessi. For me, I don't see... this is a trap fight, even though that Ross Pearson is probably a bit of a shell himself. He's nowhere near the top of his game fighter he was a few years back, probably 4 or 5 years ago, maybe even longer than that. He's I just don't see... I think that there's opportunities for him to get caught, but I think for me this is a coin flip fight. I don't see either guy going for takedowns. I see Makdessi trying to fight at range. Ross Pearson likes to get in close, use combinations. I think you can get takedowns on Ross Pearson because he does barrel forward, and you can take him down through that. For me, it's a fight I'm not confident picking the winner. I think Ross Pearson is a live dog. I'm taking a stab saying that he will be an underdog in this fight. I don't see the confidence in John Makdessi, but I am going to pick him. Very close decision. I'm not confident in that fight whatsoever. I think Pearson is live as an underdog, and Makdessi, I think if he puts it all together, he could outclass Ross Pearson. I don't see it personally. I'm going to go John Makdessi via a decision there. Moving on to the Fox prelims now in the light heavyweight division with another fight I'm looking forward to. It's Gadzhimurad Antigulov against Ion Cutelaba. Both young bucks of this division, which I like, or youngish bucks. Antigulov's a little bit older, I believe. And Cutelaba, we'll start off with him. The guy's just a bit of a madman, so he is. He's coming back, I think, after a USADA ban, which, to be honest with you, I kind of expected the way that he kind of looks sometimes. But he's a Sambo champion. He's an all-around very, very dangerous guy. I think he's 2 wins against guys that aren't even in the UFC anymore, and Enrique de Silva and Jonathan Wilson. These 2 losses coming to fairly decent competition in Misha Cirkunov and Jared Cannonier. Like I say, I don't think he stands out anything. I think his aggressiveness is one of his big tools, and if he hits you with a shot, he can really hurt you. But I think there is opportunities where you can hurt this guy as well. I mean, he totally ran through Frankenstein last time out very, very quickly. I remember that. But Antigulov is a guy, one of those quiet guys, lower echelons of that division. I think he's actually might be ranked in the top 15. I'd be surprised if he's not. I thought I saw somewhere he was number 14. This guy, kind of like Fabinski, knows what he wants to do, and what we've seen in the UFC, he takes you to, he wants to get you to the ground in the first 30 to 45 seconds. He is looking for takedowns, and if he gets you, he's got some unbelievable control. He's got a very strong grip. He's a hard guy to go off you. He's just one of those typical Russian guys. Don't sleep on his power. He has big power. We've seen that back in the ACB days where he was knocking guys out in the first round. So I think overall he's a very, very dangerous fighter. But I think his standout skills is his control, his back takes, his back control, and he will look. If he gets your back, I think he finishes fights all day long. He did it against Christensen. Not that that's saying much. I've seen it back against Astakov way back in YouTube. I remember that from like 2015. I remember when I was looking back, studying for his other fights, I saw that there. And he's just a guy that all around he's dangerous. Dangerous striking, dangerous wrestling, dangerous grappling, dangerous control. Just a dangerous fight, and a fight I'm looking forward to kind of seeing here. Because Cutelaba, I think the aggressiveness is going to play right into Antigulov, and he's just going to take him down. And I think from there, I don't think he gets it early. Does he? I don't know. I think if he gets it down, he establishes that he is the better guy down there, and he can keep him down there. He'll find a submission. So I am going to go Antigulov via submission. Probably early round number 2. I think that Cutelaba is tough enough to stick around, but I just think his aggressiveness is going to hurt him in this fight here, and Antigulov wins via submission. Featherweight division with Hakeem Dawodu against Austin Arnett. I was really surprised by Hakeem getting smoked by Danny Henry, and I shouldn't be. I know that Danny's a dangerous fighter, but I did not see that finishing as quick as it did, and I keep picking against my fellow Scotsman, and I take a lot of shit for that. But if I might continue to pick against him if he continues to win fights like he's doing and racking up bonuses. So, explosive striker, very fast, very crafty with his hands, very good combinations, good head movement. He's just a really, really solid fighter, this Dawodu. I'm kind of happy that he's left the SBG camp. I think that camp's very, very kind of overrated outside of one guy, and it's shown kind of recently through that. Watched him in the WSOF and the World Series of Fights there. He was a very, very good fighter. He's very, like I say, very fast, heavy knees as well. He can bring them up in the clinch or flying knee. He can do a lot of very, very dangerous stuff. Extremely athletic, extremely fast. And I think he's got a very favourable matchup here against Austin Arnett. I think that Arnett against Corey Sandhagen gave a very good account of himself, but I just think that Sandhagen had too many tools, was just a better fighter, and I'm kind of going on the times that I've seen him, he just gets hit far too much, and against someone like Hakeem, I think that he will he will find the chin at Arnett. He will start to break him down. I think he should use leg kicks here. I think Arnett has a wide stance, kind of like what Alexander Rakic did to Justin Ledet last week, and just hit him with leg kicks, and eventually they'll start to fold. And those, I think the hands will start to lower a little bit, and Hakeem could catch him with a shot. I still don't think. I think he's got a lot of hype behind. I still don't think he's the greatest prospect I've ever seen come into the UFC, or like one hype, because he was fairly hyped up coming out of Canada and so on. And I had people from Canada message me saying you have to watch Hakeem Dawodu, and I know who he was, and I knew that he was a fast, explosive, athletic fighter. I don't think he's as good as what people make out to be, but this loss might be the making of him. He might come in here and show us what he really is, what he really is about. I think this is a favourable matchup for him, so I'm going to pick him to win. I think initially I picked him by decision. I'm going to go by a finish. I think the accumulation of strikes, I think fighting at home as well. I think both these guys are Canadian. If I remember right, I could be wrong with Arnett, but I'm going to go Hakeem Dawodu, TKO in probably the second or early third round. Lightweight division with Kajan Johnson against Islam Makhachev. This, for me, is one of the... I think that Kajan Johnson's getting a... I spoke about this on the MMA Huddle podcast of mine last night, and I think the UFC are serving this guy tough fighters now because him speaking out against the UFC, which I think he's got every right to speak out in the UFC, because some of the aspects definitely have to get spoken about regarding pay or certain things. And Kajan Johnson definitely speaks out about stuff like that. And the UFC, I don't think, really like fighters like that sticking around all too much. That's what they did. Leslie Smith, they kind of got rid of her, even though I think she had a fight left on her contract. And they just got her out the door, and I think there's a whole lawsuit with that going on right now. To me, I think he's riding a pretty... I'm surprised. I was surprised, honestly, that he beat Stevie Ray, and I really should, because like Stevie's a very, very solid fighter. I just thought that Stevie was the better fighter overall, and I thought he would have did enough. And I thought he did enough in that fight, but it was close. So I can't really moan about him winning the decision. Knocking out Adrian Martins did nothing in that fight. And to be fair, Martins never really did all too much either, but caught him with a shot in the third round, knocked him out. And then Kotani and Lai Peng Zhang, those guys aren't great fighters. This, to me, Islam Makhachev should go in there and handle business fairly easily. Now, I know that Kajan is a veteran. He's been around the scene for the longest time. I think that he can be hurt on the feet. I definitely think he can be out-grappled. And I think that Islam Makhachev is... obviously, he's a gold medalist in 2016, the World Championships in Sambo. Great wrestling. I think he's got superior back control. If he gets you down there, I think, and really gets that back, he can submit. I've seen it more back in his pre-UFC days. You've seen that in the M1 where his submissions were really, really good. I think his striking's coming along. He's always going to have that grappling coming off that knockout of Grayson Tebow. I just like him in this spot, but he is going to be... I'd be surprised if he's anything lower than minus 500. I think if he's anything below minus 500, I'd be very, very surprised, but there's no way you can play him at that price. I think he dominates Kajan Johnson. He's going to be one of my most confident picks in the entire card, and I'm going to pick him to win via submission. Yeah, submission in round number 2. Round 1 or round 2. I think he gets him out there fairly sharpishly in that one there. Moving on to the main fight of the prelims here, we've got Jordan Mein against Alex Morono. I'm struggling with this fight personally. I think that last night I picked on the podcast, I'll not go into it, but I'll start off with what I think with both fighters, and I think the advantages they have in this fight. Jordan Mein, a guy that's been around the sport for the longest time. He's only like 28, 29, but he's been around sports since he was like 16 years old. He had fights at 16, 17 years old. So he's been around. He's probably taken his fair share of damage. He's a little bit fight worn, I think. But this is definitely an opponent that I think he can beat. What I like from Jordan Mein in this fight here, looking between both fighters, I think he's the more technical fighter. I think he has the faster hands and he has the better shot selection. Morono, he throws a lot of kind of overhand. He's not overly technical, but he is powerful, and he does pack a punch as well. We had that kind of run where Jordan Main lost 3 in a row. He lost to Thiago Alvarez. I thought he was doing all right in that fight until he got clamped with a body kick. Emil Mek, I think we all know how you beat that guy now. You just take him down relentlessly, and the guy's got some stupid IQ, fight IQ. And then Bilal Muhammad, I think, is a legit, really good top 15 guy, I think, in my opinion. And then he beat Eric Silva, and everybody's kind of beating Eric Silva, or in the UFC, a majority of people were beating Eric Silva. So Alex Morono, I think I bet him last time out. If I remember right, I think was he the underdog in that fight, actually, against Josh Buckman? No, I don't think he was. But I remember betting him in that fight there and winning a fairly easy bet. Like I say, I don't think he's the greatest fighter in the world, but I think he's got a couple of things that keep him in fights extremely durable, very, very tough. Like I say, never gives up. He's always in your face, ready to come in to brawl in there. He just make it dirty and ugly. And that's something that I think eventually could start to wear on Jordan Main. Like I say, I see Main being the more crisper, shot selecting guy. I think he picks his shots better, and I think he can pick him apart a little bit at distance. And with the aggressiveness that Morono shows, I definitely think he can start to pick him apart with shots. But I do see parts of this fight where Alex Morono will catch him with a big shot and start to make Jordan Main wilt a little bit. And that's really where I'm struggling with in this one here. Honestly, I'm struggling. Like, his wins in the UFC, Kyle Noak, I think he retired after their fight. James Montasri, I don't think he's in the UFC anymore. Josh Buckman just doesn't win fights anymore. The Nico Price one, that got overturned. Lost to Keita Nakamura, which was a fight I think was very, very close. He had an opportunity to win that one, but Nakamura is really good at winning those close fights. My initial gut feeling was Alex Morono when I first had the fight, and this was one of the fights I went back and watched today. I'm struggling with picking a winner here. I think Morono will be a little bit of an underdog here, but I think the line will be kind of close. I can see him possibly maybe being a favourite one time or another, maybe going into this fight. I don't know. I don't know. Tough fight for me to pick. I'm going to go Jordan Main. Oh, yeah, I'm going to go Jordan Main to win via decision, but I could see Alex Morono winning the fight just by being the aggressor in here and maybe landing the bigger shots. I'm going to go Jordan Main for me there. So, moving on to the 4-fight main card, which I think is a really great main card, actually. By the way, this fight card's probably going to start earlier, like 2:30 American time. I think it starts 3:30, sorry, Eastern, and 12:30 out in the West there, because it starts at like 8:30 over here in the UK. I'm going to miss pretty much everything until the main card because I'm working, which sucks, but it happens. Like I say, we're going to start off in the lightweight division here with a really good fight that's getting people talking. I've seen it on the forums. I've seen it on social media, on Twitter, on a little bit on Facebook as well, some of the sites that go on to. Alexander Hernandez against Olivier Mercier. We'll start with Alexander Hernandez. He came out and absolutely flew past Beneil Dariush and put him down with some vicious shots. Came out of nowhere, very sizable underdog, and put down, I think, a really solid guy. Like I said, I'd never heard of Alexander Hernandez beforehand. In fact, that's a lie. I knew about him at RFA, and then I kind of forgot about him. I forgot he fought in the LFA, and then he got his opportunity to come to the UFC. But when you go back and watch his fights, very dangerous. Got submissions on his record, got heavy knockouts with ground and pound on his record. So a really capable fighter that UFC signed, very aggressive like we've seen. I still put a little bit of stock into the fact that Beneil Dariush was coming off a bit of a war. I think it was against Evan Dunham the time before, and he took his licks in that fight, and I think he came back maybe a little bit early, and it was like 4 months after that fight, and you've got that hungry Hernandez there that wanted to get in there and lay down a mark, and he did so in devastating fashion. Definitely definitely a hard matchup for him here in Olivier Mercier, who is a guy that I think we've seen progress through the UFC. He's getting better every time. I think his confidence is getting better. And they're starting to mould him into a really good fighter. And he's beaten not the greatest competition. I think his last win against Evan Dunn was the step up against a very durable, tough guy to put away. And he did so in the first round with knees and punches. Honestly, I didn't expect that. I thought Dunham was going to grind him and make a very close fight. Some of the things I like with Mercier is his leg kicks. Very hard, very thudding leg kicks. And he's starting to move them up into the midsection. He's starting to go high with them a little bit. I think he's one of those guys, very strong on the ground, great back control, and just great control in general. But I think that there is opportunities here for Hernandez to get him down and him for to establish top position on Olivier Mercier. Like I say, I'm not a fan of Mercier. I like the progression that he's shown, but it's against guys, I mean, Thibault Gouti, Drew Dober, Tony Martin. For me, they don't really stand out as signature wins. I think his last one was, I'm not saying that Hernandez has got a signature win, but I think he's got a win over a better fighter than what Olivier Mercier's ever faced as well. I think Alexander Hernandez is going to win the fight here. Personally, I think he can mix it up. I think if he can be the aggressor here, if he stays back and lets Mercier be comfortable in his comfort zone there, I think that he could potentially win the fight via decision. I think Hernandez has to be aggressive. I think he has to be the aggressor and come forward, land those heavy shots, and make kind of Mercier like just be careful, like make him think what he's doing, mix up with takedowns, just be careful on the ground because, like I say, Mercier is very, very crafty down there. For me, I just feel like Alexander Hernandez is going to be a guy that not many people, or he's going to be a guy that's going to move forward that people are going to be very, very careful of fighting, very careful of just a fight you have to be extremely careful of in every aspect of the game. Guy's very hungry. I've listened to interviews of him today where he is destined, like he's just hungry to move up the rankings and win fights. But like we say, there's not a huge sample size with the guy we've seen in the UFC because he came in and blew Benny out of the water. So he's maybe getting a massive step up here and we don't know it. I don't think he is. I think a win over Dariush is extremely legit. I'm going to pick him here to win a very, very close-ish decision, but I'm going to pick him to win the fight there. So Alexander Hernandez is my pick there. Women's strawweight division, Joanna Jedrzejczyk against Tecia Torres. Now, my friend sent me a link, or sent me a screenshot on earlier on of the line that Joanna got released at over here, and it was minus 667. And I thought, whoa, and Tecia Torres was plus 145, plus 445, which I thought those lines were a little bit crazy, especially 667. But I could see why she was high, just did not expect it to be that. I kind of capped her at minus 250, and to be that high was crazy. But I think the US lines are a little bit different from that. I'd be surprised if they're anywhere near as high as that. Joanna Jedrzejczyk, the former champion, thought she gave a good account of herself against Rose last time out. I think she definitely outstruck her. I think that Rose landed the cleaner shots, though, the bigger shots, the more more impactful shots in the fight, and that ultimately won on the fight. I really enjoyed like that fight, and I'm kind of surprised that Joanna's sticking around. She's obviously wanting to have a third crack at Rose, and that could happen with a couple of wins. I think she's got a favourable matchup here against Tecia Torres, but I think it's someone she has to be extremely dangerous with as well, because Torres, she doesn't lay down for anybody. I know she got outclassed last time out against Jessica Andrade, and she got thrown about in that one just by the sheer physicality of what Jessica Andrade brings to the table. For me, it's Jedrzejczyk's going to be the faster fighter striking-wise, the more technical striker. If this is going to be a striking affair, you're going to take the better striker, and overall that is Joanna Jedrzejczyk. I'd be surprised if Tecia Torres came out there and knocked her out. We have seen Joanna get knocked out. That was some big shots from Rose Namajunas. I don't think that Tecia Torres possesses that. I think she has some wrestling. I just don't think she's going to have the opportunity to to get that wrestling off here. I can't see her keeping her against the cage. Anytime that someone smaller, like Carla Esparza, was trying to do that, she got the head beat off her. So I can't see Torres. I struggle to see where she wins the fight, but she will fight tough like she does in every fight, in my opinion. She's a top 5 fighter. She will be for the longest time, but I don't think she'll ever reach the kind of top for me. For me, Jedrzejczyk should win this fight fairly comfortably. Use the leg kick, fight at distance, but just be careful that she doesn't get put on her back, because Torres has shown that in the past against Angela Hill. I know it's a difference. Fighting the former champion here. I just think that Joanna Jedrzejczyk is too technical, just a better technical fighter, the faster fighter when it comes to striking. And yeah, for me, it's Joanna Jedrzejczyk via decision kind of all day long. I don't see really. I'd be surprised, honestly, I'd be super surprised if Tecia Torres won that fight. So Joanna via decision. Co-main event, really good fight. Jose Aldo Jr. against Jeremy Stephens, the surgeon. Jeremy Stephens, who really looks like he's in the spot of his life. Looks like he's in the greatest space he's ever been in. Super confident. You can see the confidence oozing out the guy. He was ready to step in there on 2 or 3 days' notice against Brian Ortega back at UFC 226. And this guy is straight breaking guys, like brutally breaking guys. And we've seen that in the past with some of his fights where he's did that. Down at 145 here, he's established himself as a guy around that top 5 spot, in my opinion. But I think he loses to the top guys. I think that when you look at his record there, he beat Hernandez. Hernandez is a shell of himself. Gilbert Melendez, he doesn't fight anymore. But when you watch those last 3 wins he's had, Gilbert Melendez, he absolutely annihilated the legs off him. With heavy leg kicks. Melendez showed pictures after that when his leg was black. Doho Choi, that was a great fight for as long as it lasted, but I did think that was a step up for Doho Choi coming, especially coming off the Cub Swanson fight, which was really rough. And eventually, via punches and elbows, he went in there and took him out. And then against Josh Emmett, took his licks early on, got put down by the power that Josh Emmett possesses, but then the finishing sequence of that fight, holy shit. The injuries that Josh Emmett was got in that fight via the finishing sequence is crazy. And like I said, Jeremy Stephens is surging at the minute, and his confidence is what's really, really, you can see it oozing out. When you watch every interview I've watched of him in the last couple of weeks, it's the confidence is there for all to see. But I would, when I look at this matchup, I'm trying to think, will he get leg kicks off against Jose Aldo? Now, people, and it's one of my bugbears of social media, but it's going to happen. People see different things, and they say different things, and they say things to annoy people. I usually don't tend to kind of get caught into it, and I don't get pissed off with it too much. But people are just like, Jose Aldo, like they're totally discrediting everything that guy done, and I don't know why people do that. Because he is going to go down as one of the best fighters in the lower weight class divisions we will ever see. But to their credit, like Conor McGregor took that guy's soul in that fight, and he's really never been the same since. What I like, after that Conor fight, he came back at UFC 200 against Frankie Edgar and he looked as good as he's looked in years. When at the Max Holloway fights, like I say with Max Holloway, the guy makes adjustments. He's just so good. And Aldo, in those fights, he did start to look a little bit older, but I don't think you can downplay his skills yet. I really don't. He's losing to the best guys in the sport. Holloway's one of the best guys. McGregor's just one of the biggest hitters and McGregor just totally mentally destroyed him before that fight, in my opinion. But you can't discredit anything the man's done, and you can't discredit his skill set. Supreme fast combinations, heavy leg kicks. I think he's going to get them off quick against Jeremy Stephens. When I look at this fight, this was supposed to be a co-main event fight in Singapore about a month back. And if that fight took place over 5 rounds, I think I would probably favour Jeremy Stephens. over the 3-round distance here, I favour Jose Aldo. And this was a line I did see earlier on. He's -120 over here in the UK. Still is, surprisingly. And he was a guy I was thinking about betting. But then I thought to myself, right, he's coming off a couple of TKOs. We have to see if he shows the same performance like he did against Frankie Edgar. Then maybe in the next fight, if the line's favourable, maybe you could bet him in that one there. I can't bet him, and I don't think I will bet him. But I am going to pick him to win the fight here. I still think he's got all those great fight tendencies. They don't leave you. But it's all about his hunger. What is he like? Does he still want it as much? Really surprised he's staying at 145. I don't see why he's staying at 145 because I don't think he's going to get a title shot anytime soon. Ortega's wrapped up in there. He's next in line. Who knows when that fight's going to take place? So for me, I'm going to pick Jose Aldo via decision and really expecting it to be a very, very fun fight for the 15 minutes. But I just think that Aldo's the more technical striker. If he doesn't get caught by a big shot from Jeremy Stephens, I think he wins the fight pretty comfortably, actually. So I'm going to go Jose Aldo via a unanimous decision victory there. And in the main event, I should say, a rematch that took place at UFC 211 with Eddie Alvarez facing off against Dustin the Diamond Poirier. I absolutely loved the first fight. I thought it was a great, great back and forth fight until it ended with Eddie Alvarez throwing illegal knees. Plain and simple. And for him to come out and say, "Oh, Poirier quit. He didn't want to fight on." The biggest load of bullshit I think you'll ever hear that kind of came from Eddie Alvarez's mouth in that one there. And since then, even in that fight, Dustin Poirier, I thought, looked a different fighter, looked like he'd moved up another level. And since then, he's looked fantastic. He is one of my most favourite guys to watch, and he has been since the WEC days. I watched that documentary of his. That's where I first saw Dustin Poirier. Then we saw him in WEC. And since the guy's fought the who's who, 145, and he's fighting some of the best guys at 155, and he's coming into his element right now. You can see it. You've seen it in that Eddie Alvarez fight. Ever since, really, if I'm being honest with you, since the Michael Johnson knockout, where I think just the fast hands of Michael Johnson got him, took his licks in the Jim Miller fight, could barely walk in that one. His leg kick, he doesn't defend leg kicks very well, and we saw that in the Gaethje fight last time out. But Eddie Alvarez, he was patient in that one. He was catching him with that long left-hand shot, and eventually he caught him with that shot and really started to put it on him. I think he made a big mistake in doing that, and ultimately he ended up getting caught. And you cannot, as much as Alvarez takes a lot of shots, you have to be very careful. The guy's got a lot of power, and he's hard to put down. And you give him the opportunity to turn you around and throw shots, and the guy throws a lot of wild shots, but he does throw with heavy intention to put you down. And that's what Poirier needs to do here. I think he needs to make adjustments, and that's the biggest thing in this fight. Anthony Pettis, I thought he broke Anthony Pettis. That was a great fight, a bloody fight, back and forth. Went for takedowns initially and then started. He's just got great striking. He's very long, got power in that left hand. He's got submission skills we don't see all too often. He's got wrestling, heavy ground and pound. The dude's just a nasty, nasty fighter and one of the best guys to watch. The Justin Gaethje fight, that was a back and forth war. He was like buckled with those leg kicks. Still can't believe that that's something that he's not showed up. And actually listening to Dustin Poirier earlier on, he said it took him a month to the big thing. I'll get this out now before I forget about saying it. The big thing that worries me about this fight here is Dustin Poirier coming back in pretty soon. I think it was April, or he came back. He was in that fight with Justin Gaethje, so he's coming in here back in fairly short notice. And he said he took a month off before going back into the gym. He said he couldn't wrestle, he couldn't throw leg kicks or anything. So that's the one thing that kind of worries me here. And the thing with Eddie Alvarez, I don't want to say I writ him off, but I thought Justin Gaethje would have more success against him at the end of the year, the card at the end of the year in Detroit. I thought that Gaethje would just be a little bit more violent, and it showed that Eddie Alvarez has still got all those violent tendencies. If you don't put this guy down and you give him opportunities to stay in the fight, he will hurt you with big strikes and put you down. And he did that against Justin Gaethje with a beautiful knee in the third round there. about 4 minutes into the third. And yeah, like I say, I thought when I look at this matchup, I see it very similar to the first fight, but I think I see Dustin Poirier catching him with that left-hand shot, and I don't think he makes the same mistake like he did in the first fight. There's no need to rush to put this guy out. If you can throw nice technical straight strikes and just catch him on the chin, you will put this guy down. We've seen that with Conor McGregor. Not saying that both guys have got as much power as each other, but you've seen that Conor, every shot he hit him with that left hand, he pretty much put him down. I think it was 3, maybe 4 times he put him down. Poirier just needs to be a little bit more cerebral with his strikes. Don't go rushing in and give Eddie Alvarez the chance to swing back on you and put you down. And ultimately, that's kind of where I see the fight taking place. I don't see Alvarez taking him down successfully all too much, which I think will be a part of his game plan. I'm going to go Dustin Poirier. I'm still sticking to the original fight that I picked at UFC 211, and I expect him to stop him inside 3 rounds. And I think he will do that. And that's actually my only bet of the card I have right now. I got him at -125 a while back now. So, yeah, I'm going to pick Dustin Poirier via TKO. I'll go round number 2 there. So that's my picks for UFC Calgary, guys. We're on to UFC 227. The top 2 fights I'm looking forward to. There 2 rematches. Cody Garbrandt against TJ Dillashaw for the bantamweight title. Henry Cejudo against Demetrius Johnson for the flyweight title. Looking forward to that. It's got some decent fights on that 227 fight card as well. Ricardo Ramos against Kyung Ho Khan's one I've got my eye on as well. So, and Renato Moicano's back as a guy that I love watching as well. So please like, comment, subscribe. I'll be back probably next Monday night again for 227. And until then, as always, thank you very much. And I will catch up with you very, very soon. Take care. Thank you.